Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Peter Abraham. I am a registered nurse with extensive hospice experience. If you're new to this channel, welcome. We have discussions about hospice and terminally ill topics about terminal illness, chronic disease. We have discussions on being resilient, which is the ability to snap back in the face of storms that we encounter in life. Dealing with grief, both anticipatory, which is before somebody passes, as well as grief that we experience after somebody passes. Book writing, which is going to be part of today's topic. As well as retirement. I am semi-retired after I was suddenly terminated at 61 and a half approximately, June 14th of last year. Was it ageism? Was it because I'm an unvaccinated registered nurse and one of my families asked me, why does their very young family member have a very rare cancer? And I shared that Dr. Patrick Gilhole, a prominent doctor from another hospice agency that I worked with, shared that this is a side effect of a certain injectable product that we don't mention on YouTube. Or was it because I advocated for palliative sedation for my lung cancer patient who was begging to be put into an unconscious state and left to pass away? May never know that answer, but since that happened, I've been writing books. Late last year, started this YouTube channel, and if you're new here, welcome again. If you like what you're seeing, like, comment, subscribe. As with previous episodes, I like to start off going over areas of gratitude. So since Wednesday, which was the last episode, where I started talking about the book I'll continue talking about today, the Art of Prognosis. I'm working on the final finishing edges that I hope to complete this weekend. But Wednesday was Rebecca's father's birthday. Now, Rebecca's not a member of my family, but a friend through a hospice group. And Rebecca and her brother Dan and her aunt went and celebrated her dad's birthday, and it went well. Yes, he had levels of pain that was not anticipated, but he was able to have a regular cupcake. He was on a pureed diet, but they had to nurse it with compassion, that there are safe ways to do certain things. And so he was able to enjoy a cupcake, had music and everything else going on. So Rebecca, I'm so happy for you still, and proud of you for pushing through some of your concerns and your doubts. In terms of grateful for here in my life, I shared that we had a water system installed. God's timing is wonderful because our other filtration system that we're using, which was a temporary one, household standing unit that we would fill with water and it would just filter down. That broke today. We were ending up trying to finish what was left in it before we switched all the way over. But hey, we have our filtered system now. Laura got her first paycheck, which is a good thing. I'm smiling here because when we looked at the paycheck, she's withholding taxes, federal taxes for, married filing jointly. And this was a paycheck for only 1 week. Why am I using two fingers? 1 week. So $1 federal taxes, $5 and change to the local city that we're in, and another $5 and change to Kentucky at large. So it's like, oh my word. Things are, not that I want to pay taxes, but she got paid, and that's a beautiful thing. And I started going to since I am off, I started going to a Friday's men's breakfast at a local coffee shop, where men get together from the church that we're going to just to connect. It's not a Bible study, but just sharing with one another. I did ask for prayer requests for those of you watching. There may be somebody's watching that's stalking. got, I mentioned in a previous not the last episode, but the one before that, that we still have a stalker. But for those of you who are praying for our good, I'm still looking for part-time work. One of the gentlemen at the breakfast, Riley, thank you, Riley, said, since I'm writing these books to educate hospice nurses and family members how to do caregiving, and dementia caregivers how to care for loved ones with dementia, more so focusing on the hospice nurses, why don't I seek opportunities with hospice agencies to teach about how to document for compliance, to teach about, like the most recent book on the Art of Hospice Prognosis, teach these things. So I am a big person on to-do lists. I use Todoist, and you can use that free. I do have the paid version that for $48 a year I could add a lot more projects and color coding and so on for certain areas. And so next week I'll be working on curriculum to teach. And I don't know where this is going to go, whether it'll be online or in person or both. Either way, I do want to look at providing continuing education credits for any of my books that turn into courses. So there's different venues I'll be pursuing on that. There's Nina Hart that has approached me last year, and I wasn't ready at that time. There's Gordon Steines, Pro CEO, and there's other venues. I don't know what venue I'm going to take. We still have a lot going on here in Kentucky. We just moved late last year, so while the water system was an internal project, we have drywall to fix from the work that they've done mainly for the utility sink area for my wife. We're starting a vegetable garden for the first time in both our lives. My wife did landscaping, and we want to raise chickens for the eggs. So there's a lot of stuff that we'll be doing. In addition, I love writing books. I'm a geek. So a lot to be grateful for there. The book sales are going well. And I'm just so grateful to God for what he's done. But in terms of prayers, part-time job, I'll be looking at reaching out to local agencies, including the local colleges. Probably next week. I want to get the curriculum done first, so it might not be next week when I reach out. But also, while my wife will be eligible for Medicare later this year, at this point in time, we don't have health care. We're in God's hands, as we have been, because we found out last year, even when we had health care, both through employer and then through the Pennsylvania marketplace, kind of phrase, nothing was covered. We had to pay out of pocket anyway because of the high deductible. So we're in God's hands, it will work out. But talking about today's topic, first and foremost, and I apologize, this technically should have been Wednesday, because the Wednesday is when it happened. But on Wednesday, I'm going to phrase it. These are live videos, so I don't go and edit my videos, because if I'm with a patient and family, I don't go on a script. Let me tell you this. And then, teleprompter, it's live when I'm in person, so it's live here. This is recorded, so you're not watching it live, but I don't go and edit my videos because that's not how it is in real life. That's my own opinion. You're entitled to your own. So here I participate in a number of social media groups, mainly in hospice and end of life, but hospice nursing groups to support other hospice nurses and so on. I don't know it all. Most of you know that already, and some of you might be joking who does, and God does. But wherever I can help out, I will help out. And yes, I am full of opinions like mostly everyone else. So somebody was asking a very valid question on the hospice item set for the preference area. I believe it's section F. I'm going from memory. And I was sharing, here's what you need on admission, you need it on discharge, and the hospice item set's going away. September 30th of this year, and they're starting Hope, which is due October 1st. I do have a book on that subject matter. Oh my word, where am I at? Of course, it is nowhere to be immediately found in my book pile. But I have a book on the subject matter of implementing hope. And so I answered these questions. The person asked anonymously, and the next thing you know, I get a Facebook message from somebody I don't know, along with a friend's request from the same person. And they said, are you Peter Abraham, the author? And I lately have been getting a lot of scam on LinkedIn with people pretending to be recruiters, reaching out to me, asking for a lot of personal information, but being very vague about what the job is. And so when I ask questions and share, this, I just asked too many questions, and they ended up like the LinkedIn. They'll end up deleting everything and just disappearing. So I tend to be very cautious when I get a Facebook friend or a LinkedIn request. And so on this Facebook message, yeah, but how do I know you? And Tamara, and this is my shout out of thanks, so thank you, Tamara. And hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm not the greatest with certain names, and I don't ever mean offense if I mispronounce. But she sends me this screenshot that I included in the thumbnail of this video of 11 of the hospice books that I've written for nurses. And I'm like, wow. I know people are buying them because I see the sales on a regular basis, but I don't know whom. I mean, of all the reporting, it doesn't get granular to say here's an email address or here's the name of the buyer, or even what states are buying. I know United States versus Canada versus other countries, but it doesn't get very granular as to who's actually buying the different books. So I do have a shout out of thanks. One of the other areas of gratitude, thank you so much, Tamara, for buying the books that I have been writing. That is so encouraging to me as an author, because I don't follow the schematic, so to speak. If you watch YouTube videos, make X amount of money, write Amazon books and you'll be a millionaire before you know it, and they go over how to find, these are the top selling topics and the genre and blah, blah, blah. Yes, I do write the areas I see as problems. We'll go over that in a moment. I start about talking about the Art of Hospice Prognosis. But I don't go into writing these books having any ego from the perspective, I don't know what will sell. That is in the hands of God from my perspective. And so I am grateful when they sell. And I'm also realistic when they don't. I have 11 different books on dementia topics. Music therapy for dementia, medication compliance for dementia, how to have your loved one with dementia to be more compliant when they have to wear external, like a nasal cannula for the oxygen, or maybe they have to use a CPAP at nighttime. How do you get them to do that more often than not? There are techniques for doing that. So I wrote a lot of books on dementia, 11 in total for dementia. Most of them don't sell. I'm still glad I wrote them. They're starting to pick up the past 2 months. The largest selling book is Sundowning Management for Dementia, which is a very common issue, by the way. But I have diabetes and managing diabetics for dementia. That gets to be problematic, especially if it's insulin and you have to do injections. But I never know. I don't go in planning like I'm writing this book to make X money. I'm writing the book to solve what I see as a problem in the area, and I'm hoping that it'll help others out there. And then I let God be God, so to speak. I don't, you have to buy whatever. But anyway, Thank you, Tamara. Thank you so much. You really you blessed my heart that day. That you have purchased so many books, and you're one of many reasons why I write books. It's like Tanya, who reached out the other day. I didn't know this. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe, anonymously posting. How do you write for decline when your hospice patient is the decline's very slow? And we don't want to use the word stable. How do you document eligibility when there's not day-to-day or week-to-week changes? And I do address that. Yes, towards the top. I do address that in this book. And the person had posted anonymously, and I pointed out, if you just buy this book, there's a section on how to chart slow decline. And the person wrote back, I'm the one from Georgia that we've talked before, and she's actually the one who suggested, and I don't know if I have that book handy, writing about how family members and even nurses will fixate on the pulse ox, that oxygen saturation number, and put somebody on oxygen even if it makes them uncomfortable. Oxygen can poison people. It is a medication. You could actually overdose somebody with a nasal cannula. I had a patient, I forget whether I think it was late 23, early 24, where a skilled nursing facility put a COPD patient on 5 liters of oxygen, and they were focusing on that, getting them up to 92 to 98% oxygen saturation. They almost killed, it wasn't on purpose, but they almost killed the patient. That patient ended up coming on to hospice service because they were lethargic and everybody thought they were going to die, including the family. I get in there. Why are we focused on the numbers? And thankfully, this was a patient I had at home under a previous setting that I called 911. That's its own story. I may have shared in a previous episode. But we got her off oxygen, and she improved so much, she came off hospice. Hospice is not about killing people. The right nurse will work for what's best for the patient, not the end. The end doesn't justify the means. What's best for that patient and family. So here, Tanya recommended why don't I write a book on breathing? And that became a book for nurses, because I've worked with nurses that focus on the numbers, and how many families focus on the numbers, the vital signs. So Tanya goes, I'm that nurse from Georgia. Do you remember me? Because we actually had a phone call. I forget whether it's in December, January time frame over a glioblastoma patient where we're discussing palliative sedation and going over some med suggestions and so forth. And that was done free of charge. Give me one moment for my puppies that I'm almost tripping over as they want to get out. So here, that was Tanya and I talked for hours. This is free. That's why I say if you have questions, comment. I don't know how long I'll be free, and that's not a threat for trying to get it buy now for free, and in a day or two it'll be X. But I like helping people. So getting over now the Art of Prognosis took me almost 20 minutes, and now we're getting to this part of the topic, and this part will be short. But from working, talking about problem solving out in the field, not every hospice nurse is comfortable answering that, especially the patient or a family member where there's a lot of dynamics going on. How long? How much longer? And I have been through the whole gamut where I still remember my Parkinson's patient coming up to me with a walker, and she has this planner with her, and I'm like trying to it was a tight home environment, how could I even help her if she were to fall? I didn't expect her to make some of the movements that she was making. She got to the kitchen table fine, but she puts down the planner and she goes, I want you to write down the date and time. I'm like, for my next visit, I can give you the date, but I don't know the time because like this is like the next week already. I don't know what's in between. I don't know if I'm going to have 5 visits that day or 6 or an admission or whatnot. She goes, no, no, no. I want the date and time. The date of time of what? When I'm going to die. And I'm like, I'm not God. And this was my third or fourth time seeing her. So I was still working through the prognosis for her. Even though I had experience in this, I'm still working through the prognosis. So in the very beginning, especially if somebody is ambulatory, and you might hear the phrase, if you're watching this and you're not a nurse, and you hear the word 40%, 30%, that's most likely Palliative Performance Scale, PPS, and that's a rating system that looks at ambulation, intake, how much you're able to help yourself, and it's one of many scales. But if I have somebody that this person was a PPS of 40, hospice generally starts off 40. They could be 50% if they have cancer. Although I've had cancer patients as high as 70%. But if they're up that high, we are generally looking at, now this is, all stereotypes are false, so keep that in mind. This is a grain of salt. We're generally looking at a 3 to 6 month window. That's not a refined prognosis, in my opinion. So, so here I said, only God knows. And with a very straight face, she says, maybe I need a new hospice nurse, one that's more experienced. And I had to share with her, being polite, that I am experienced. If the more I'm coming, the better I'll be able to refine my prognosis. But I'm not going to be able to even give you a date. I've had family members. I still remember the daughter, Pat, for her mom. After her mom passed away, she called and talked to, oh my word, Paige, our social worker at Grain Hospice. Paige, don't know if we'll ever run into each other again. She moved to Chicago. Talk about people moving to different states. She went from Pennsylvania to Chicago. But she ended up calling Paige. Peter was right on with the prognosis. It's like, I never told a date. I just said we're looking at any time to, hours to a few days. Sometimes I'll go 72 hours or less, or 48 hours or less. That's as fine as I get. I should, grain of salt, take it back. I've been in places where I'm literally there and I'm saying, we are looking at hours. I'd be surprised if they lasted through the night. So being able to give a prognosis is a fundamental skill, I believe. Yes, it's my opinion, but I strongly believe every hospice nurse should develop that skill over time. Will you be able to do that when you start off as a brand new hospice nurse? No. Maybe if you've worked around the hospice nurses and doctors, but generally no. So there's a great need to learn how to do this. And there's a science behind it, and there's an art. The book, The Art of Hospice Prognosis, even though it shouldn't say the, starts off with art, just that's a whole different story of why. But The Art of Hospice Prognosis, there's an art, but there's also the science. The science is how fast are the declines happening, moderate to major, in relation to one another. The art is looking at how much sleeping is occurring. For instance, if somebody is sleeping 22 hours or more, we're on the short end. If somebody says, my loved one's sleeping 23 hours a day, and they're literal, they've timed it. We're not talking guesstimates. They've timed it. And that's consistently 23 hours or more a day. We're at the short end. We're at the short end. I don't want to go beyond saying short end because I'd have to, me personally, I'd feel more comfortable seeing the person. But there's a science component, and this book goes over a lot of chapter 6 and, well, actually 5 and 6, 4, 5, and 6, I think. Go back, my short-term memory is like a sieve. Go over the science of Prognosis, but there is also the art. There's also the art, and that the art is over and over again. The more you visit, now I don't want to hunt for another book because I want to be cognizant of the time of this video. But I have the Art of Visit Planning is one of the books, and it looks at as they're getting worse off, you should be increasing your visits. And you should also, you have routine visits, which are your scheduled visits that should be relatively consistent. But you can pre-plan a PRN visit. You can say, I'm going to do a PRN visit tomorrow. So you have two types of PRN. You have you're going through your day, you don't know what's going on, you're driving, you're getting a phone call, they had a change of condition. Oh, I'm going to go do a PRN visit. That's I couldn't have anticipated it. But you could also schedule those PRN visits and plot them out. Most electronic software allows you to chart off a PRN visit. And those could be very handy. And whether you're working with the hospice item set going away this year by the end of September, or the new Hope items, I shouldn't say Hope item set, the new Hope system, by doing it PRN, that's advantageous for you as a nurse to keep compliance to help eligibility recertifications. But these books are meant to empower you as the nurse to help you grow and to bloom over time. So if you like what you're seeing, like, subscribe. If you have questions about any of this, maybe you have a suggestion for a book or a course, or you have questions, how might these courses work, or whatever related to the field. Maybe you're not sure if it relates. Comment. Maybe we could chat on Facebook Messenger or chat or some other means to just share with one another, build one another up, encourage one another. I appreciate your time watching these videos. Thank you again, all of you. Thank you, Tamara, for the books that you've purchased. Thank you, Tanya. Oh, by the way, Tanya was asking that when she mentioned I'm this nurse from Georgia. She said, but for all the book suggestions I've given, you should buy me the books. I wish Amazon worked that way, but Amazon makes me pay list price to do gift registries. But I ended up, because of all the thanks for Tanya did, and Tamara, if I'm pronouncing your name right, if you want to do this too, for you buying 11 books, I do this for you. If you say, here, can you buy me this book one time as a gift registry? But I ended up sending a copy of this to Tanya. The catch-22 on my end, and this is not a pity party, so don't let this hold you back, Tamara. But I had to pay close to $7 in shipping and handling to send this to Tanya, just because of how Amazon works. But I'm grateful, and part of grateful is showing that gratitude to others, not just the words. So thank you, everybody. God bless, and bye for now.